So this is my 1973 Ford Mach 1 Mustang. I've had this car probably going on 10 years. This is the longest classic car I've ever owned. And I've been through a couple, well, more than a couple, dozens. So anyway, this thing's been sitting ever since last fall, I believe. And right before I parked it, it had a bad exhaust leak coming from the driver's side exhaust manifold, which I took it to a muffler shop, and I was thinking it was just the flange down there on the exhaust. And while we had it in the air, we seen that the manifold gasket is actually blowed right at the corner. So I was going to replace the gaskets, come to find out that the manifold bolts, they're not studs. The heads of the bolts are about rusted in half. I mean, I could barely get a wrench on them. It's hard to work on it with the engine in the car. So I was thinking I was going to just pull the engine out and get the manifolds off that way. That way if I break the bolts off, I can easily drill and rethread them or whatever. But I'm gonna try one more time. I've already soaked them down with PE blaster, let the car run till it got up to full temperature. And but that ain't really the problem. The problem is getting a wrench on everything. It's kind of tight up under there. So I had this thing out the power tour. I don't know if you guys, some of you came through Memphis, pretty sure. And came creeping in. I had it idled up kind of high so you can't hear the exhaust leak, especially when you let out the clutch, because this thing is now a 4-speed. It used to be an automatic. So it's got the 351 4-valve, and I changed it to a 4-speed top loader. You can catch that video on the channel. And so she's been around. But I really want to get that exhaust leak fixed because it's really irritating and it's getting louder and louder. I think the gasket is just all the way gone on that manifold. So she's a little dirty. I gotta clean her back up. I really want to clean up a little bit before I start working on it. I mean, I know I'm gonna get probably oil prints on it, but she looks kind of pale looking through the camera, but it's actually like a canary yellow. But if I can just get that manifold fixed, the gasket fixed, I won't even worry about the passenger side because it ain't leaking right now. And like I said, I don't want to have to take this engine out. Being now that it's a 4-speed, and it's got the Z-bar for the clutch pedal and all that stuff you have to take loose, and just a real pain. But anyway, I'm going to, of course we got rain today, I'm going to pull it out here and spray it with a water hose, get some of the dust off, and get it back in, get the hood off where I have more light, and get this thing ready to repair this really irritating exhaust leak it's got. So I'm gonna get the old water hose out, get it outside, and see if we can get it cleaned up. So I end up removing the brake booster, and you can see the one manifold bolt right there. The head of it is really rusty, and that's how the other ones are down there. It's a real tight spot to get to. Well, I'm gonna try and heat them up with a torch, little handheld torch, and see can I get these bolts off of here without having to pull this whole engine out, because I really don't want to do that. So I have tried everything on these exhaust bolts, and the heads of them are just too rusty, and I can't even get a wrench to latch onto them. I mean, if I use a box end or I use a socket, no 5-point, I mean, they're just too rusty, and I'm just gonna have to pull the engine out. I mean, that's just it. I didn't want to, but if I pull it out, I can get it on the engine stand, and I can get to all the bolts, and I might as well go ahead and do the other side too, because I know those bolts are probably rusty, and it's got the original manifold gaskets. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start unhooking stuff and get the motor out, and she'll be down for a while. I mean, it's not car show season, it's still cold outside on and off, and it ain't like I ain't got other stuff to drive to shows. So I'll get everything prepared to just snatch her out and get on the engine stand. Okay, boys and girls, so the disassembling has started. Got the radiator out, started unhooking the AC lines, got the belts off. Just going around taking my time unhooking this stuff and taking pictures as I go, so I can remember how everything go back, because I got so many other projects going on. It might be a minute before I can get it back together, especially if I got to do some real bad surgery on getting those bolts out of the heads for the manifolds. So the old 351's got to come out. Really been dreading it for the last year, messing with that exhaust leak, but well, gotta do. So what I'm gonna do, I'm thinking about leaving the 4-speed transmission in there and just put a jack under it, undo the bell housing bolts, and just slide the engine right on out of the pallet shaft. I don't really feel like taking the motor and transmission out. Like I said, that's a top loader 4-speed, and you have to take the console out, get the shifter out, drive shaft. I mean, if I can just slide the engine out without touching it, maybe strap up the transmission, and then get ready to go back in and have somebody lower the engine in while I guide the pallet shaft into the clutch, that'll be great. So I'm gonna try my best not to disturb that. So anyway, I'm gonna get back to work and get this thing out. So alright, so got it in the air, got everything unhooked, gonna get ready to get this old motor out of there. Got the transmission strapped up. Hopefully I can slide this motor out of the transmission bell housing and just leave the transmission in there. You know, this is a 4-speed, so it's got the pallet shaft. So hopefully this goes well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the car on the ground. I got to do some more stuff up top and shoot for it. All right, so as you can see, finally got the bolts out. It's way a lot easier doing this with the engine on the engine stand. Like I kept saying, I didn't really want to pull it out, but I'm gonna go ahead and paint the block anyway. I'm gonna pressure wash it, clean it up, paint the block the Ford blue is supposed to be, repaint the valve covers. I'm just gonna clean it all up anyway. But you see that gasket, it is old, really old. So anyway, I gotta come around and do the other side because you don't want to just do one side. You might as well do both sides. Look like they got some orange silicone for a gasket. Let's look at those bolts. I think mainly the bolts were rusted to the manifold. Those look like they might be a booger to get off. But we'll see. So I'm gonna go ahead and move over here. It looks like it's got a crack in it. Or it's starting to get a crack. I might sandblast these too, just to see how they look without the rust on them. And we'll paint them with some of that header paint, manifold paint, high temp stuff. So let me move everything over here and we'll get this side hopefully off. So I got this side off. Thankfully, it was just one bolt at the end that I really had to get hot. So got this off. You can see that they had some kind of silicone on there with the gaskets. That just melts right off. Supposed to be high temp, but anyway, thank God I got both manifolds off, no broken bolts. So now I can go through, pressure wash this motor. Somebody painted black. I wonder who that was. I actually did that years ago because I put new freeze plugs in it, and the block was all rusty looking. I mixed with somebody half painted it blue. I shot with some black paint, but this time I'm going back with the original Ford blue, repaint the block and everything. sandblast the manifolds, new manifold gaskets. I put a new rear main seal in it some years ago, so that it's not showing any oil on the oil pan or the flex plate, so that's good. It's got a new flywheel. So basically it's just, I'm gonna take some of the stuff off, all the accessories that's left. I'm gonna repaint this motor before I put it back in. So it'll be out for a while, but like I say, there wasn't no way I could get those manifold bolts loose in the car, especially the passenger side, because it was real tight. So that's one of my worries is out the way. As soon as we get some more good weather, push it outside, oven clean it, tape everything off, see with some paint. Under the hood, I've never had this engine out, so I'm gonna pressure wash under here real good, clean it all up, probably shoot it with some more paint. It's got a lot of loose paint over the years, touching it up, and somebody half painted it. Clean up a lot of this mess before I put it back in. I gotta replace that bar right there. Somebody hit something with it, and I got another one. I just hadn't put it on there yet. So while I got the engine out, I'm gonna go ahead and replace that bar and get a front wheel alignment done, because I know it's gonna need another one. I don't know what they hit. It didn't hit the oil pan, it just hit that bar. I think that's called a center link. So we'll get that replaced, pressure wash, paint, and she'll be ready for this summer. Even though I got a lot of other projects going on, but this is one of the ones I really wanted to get done on the 73 for a long time, but I got the Trans Am and got tearing into it and the motorcycles. So she's going to go outside for a minute and we'll get back to her. So y'all just be looking out for the return of the 73 Mach 1. And today is Thursday, so the weekend's coming, so hope y'all have a good weekend. It's coming up. We got some rain here. You probably hear it in the background. Rain today, rain tomorrow, which is Friday. Saturday I think it's supposed to be clear. So maybe I get a chance to get this stuff outside and pressure wash it if it ain't too cold. So alright, holla at y'all later. Thanks for tuning in.